Hello, and welcome again to another installment of Dekalb Talks Tourism. Excited today to have Stephanie Stuckey of Stuckeys Corporation at our show today. Welcome.
Thank you. I'm excited to be here.
Well, I know I follow you on all the social medias and you've talked to different conferences, but tell us a little bit about yourself.
I would be delighted. So I am a 30-year resident of Dekalb County, Georgia.
Nice.
I love this community, and I love tourism, and I love exploring all the fun places all over this country, but especially it's fun to explore your home base.
Yes.
And so I just wanted to preface everything with that. But I am Georgia born. I'm originally from Dodge County, Georgia. And I grew up in Washington, D.C. because my father was a congressman from Georgia. But Georgia has always been our home. I came to the University of Georgia for college and law school.
Yep.
Practiced law for up until just a few years ago, so for over 30 years. And I moved to Atlanta shortly after I graduated from law school, and I ran for and got elected to the Georgia legislature, representing neighborhoods in Middle and South Dekalb. And then I segued that into running an environmental organization, a nonprofit, and then had been head of sustainability for the city of Atlanta for several years when I got the unexpected opportunity to buy my family's business, the Stuckey stores. And that's what I've been doing ever since for the past 4 years.
Well, listening to your jobs, it sounds like this one has to be the most fun.
They're all fun. I mean, I think jobs are what you put into them, and you find what's interesting and relevant to what you're passionate about.
True.
So every single one of the roles I've played, I really had a passion for, but this is absolutely what I think I was put on this earth to do.
So how long were you elected official?
12 years.
Wow.
Yeah, it was a good run. And then
Definitely.
I didn't run for re-election, which is the best way to get out of politics, is on your
So
own
in
terms.
3, and then you just kind of left.
Yes, I decided I had plateaued and was ready to flex my muscles in other ways, and absolutely think that politics should not be your career. That you go in, you do something positive, hopefully, and I think there were some things I did that I really am proud of, but it was time to make way for new leadership and fresh leadership, and the areas I used to represent have wonderful representatives, and so I feel like DeKalb has an excellent legislative delegation that are
We really do.
out there advocating every single day for our community.
So tell us, how did you have this opportunity? What motivated you to really take back over the family business?
Well, the main thing was it was for sale.
Okay.
It wasn't like I was looking for this. I was very happy doing sustainability work for the city of Atlanta. That was a wonderful role. But I literally was minding my own business, working one day, and I got a phone call from one of the investors of the group that at that time owned Stuckeys, and they were selling the company. And frankly, it was not doing well. It was 6 figures in the red. And the company, for those listeners who aren't familiar with the Stuckeys brand, the company was founded by my grandfather in 1937. He started it as a roadside pecan stand, and he grew it from that to, at its peak, there were 368 Stuckey stores in 40 states along every major interstate. He had a pecan snack and candy company. He had a distribution business, a trucking company. He had a sign painting company that painted 4,000 billboards.
Yeah.
Right? Like, you could not take a road trip during a certain era in America, the 1950s through the 1970s, without seeing a Stuckey's. And so there's a whole generation of road trippers who associate our brand as this wonderful, fun roadside oasis where you could pull over and get a pecan log roll and a snow globe or rubber alligator, a quick hot meal, find a clean restroom, fill up your tank with gas. So it was just this one-stop shop. And frankly, before there was TA or Love's or Buc-ee's, there was Stuckey's. We were
You're
the
definitely
first.
the iconic place on the interstate.
Yeah, but my grandfather sold the company, and it was out of our family hands for decades. And frankly, lost its luster. And by the time I had the opportunity to get the brand back, there were only 12 of those original stores left. The candy plant was gone. The trucking company was gone. The sign painting company was gone. All of the physical assets of the business were gone.
Wow.
None of those stores were owned by the company. It was a franchise arrangement. They were generating clearly very little revenue because the company was in the red. Really what I bought was a trademark. But I loved the brand, and I loved my grandfather, and you asked what motivated me. I loved my grandfather.
Right, that's great motivation.
Yeah, anyone who's had a family business can relate to that, or just anyone who's loved a grandparent, right? Like, there's an emotional attachment that really drives motivation for just about anyone. You've got to have something that you care deeply about on a gut level, and that was buying Stuckeys for me.
That's such a cool story.
Thank you.
But while you were talking, it was interesting because you were talking about having billboards all across the country. But the only other thing I was thinking of is kind of like Sea Rock City.
Oh my gosh, I love that place.
So who was first, Cheryl's billboards or the Sea Rock City billboards?
Sea Rock City was founded first, and I was just there, so I should know what the founding date was. I want to say it was like 1934. No, they were earlier than that. They were like 1920s.
Wow.
So they didn't have as many billboards initially. I'm sure you remember how they advertised. It was on the side of barns.
Yeah.
And there are only about a dozen of those original barn paintings with Sea Rock City on them still standing.
Well, that's iconic too. So
it's like the Burma
Stuckeys.
Shave too. And there's actually a few stretches. I've been on one on Route 66 where they're the old Burma Shave. They've recreated them. It's not the original, but it is a recreation with the exact wording. And so I think that roadside Americana is something that connects us all as uniquely American, right? Like, the road trip is just part of the experience of living in this country.
We have the greatest social media actually doing the road tripping across the United States.
Thank you.
So I just love following you on that. So I enjoy seeing that. I enjoy seeing your dead or iconic hotel posts. Or,
I know we were talking about that before we went on air. So if anyone's listening and they know about a cool vintage motel that's been renovated, please message me. You can reach me on all the social media channels and just message me or post a comment, because I find most of these cool places by word of mouth.
Yeah, I mean, and you do a great job.
Thank you.
I really enjoy to see what's going to be next on your.
I do too.
Where you are, or about the hotels or attractions, or. So tell us, you have grown up in Dekalb, and you live in Dekalb.
I grew up in Dodge County.
Dodge County, that's right.
And then Washington, D.C. So,
but now you live in DeKalb.
But I am a DeKalb resident by choice. This is where I wanted to live, and I love it.
So you're going to bring
here.
us to Stuckeys, like a building Stuckeys?
Wouldn't that be fun?
Oh, that'd be awesome.
Okay, you find the financing for me. Let's talk.
Man,
I need the
that be-
financing. People ask me about what about the stores all the time, right?
Yeah.
And that was the game changer for our business, and that is how we are profitable. Is sadly, I had to let go of what was not working. And we don't own or operate those dozen stores that are still around. I love them. They're like children for me. But we don't have the finances and the resources to renovate them. Most of those stores do need a little TLC. And we don't have the resources to really have a strong franchise program. So those are licensed locations. They do trademark our name, and they do sell our product. And we absolutely have or me especially, I have a strong connection with those remaining stores. But the present day, the way we are growing this company is as a consumer packaged good, as a CPG brand. And we now own a manufacturing facility in Georgia. It's outside of Augusta, a little town called Wren's. And we make pecan snacks and candies at that facility. And we source all of our pecans from Georgia. So we really are getting back to literally our roots. My grandfather started Stuckeys. as a pecan company. And throughout our history, our signs would always say pecan log rolls, pecan clusters, pecan pralines, pecan divinity. Like that is the origin of our brand. And so that's how we're growing. But I think if we could get the financing and if we found maybe strong partners, my team would be open to having a handful of Stuckey's destination locations that would be tourism sites, right? We don't want to be the retail chain on the interstate highway. Those days are 1960s, and I wish it was different, but the history is what it is. We don't dominate America's interstates anymore, and others have come along and they're doing it very well. So we aspire to and are selling our product to those stores, like Travel Centers of America sells our product. Wawa in Florida sells our product. Pilot Travel Centers just started carrying us in select locations. We're not in all of them, but there's a nostalgic set, and we're in there with Moon Pie and Chico Stick with great neighbors on the candy rack. So we love both of those brands. They're in the nostalgic club with us. But we're also creating healthy pecan snack nuts for the current generation. And so it's creating new memories. And
I didn't know that.
That's what
cool.
tourism is all about too, right?
Totally.
It's creating memories and shared associations about your brand, which is this wonderful county where we live and work, and people wanting to engage others in that experience.
I just love your passion and
Thank
how
you.
do this, and so I've seen some stories about a book coming out.
That's right.
So
It's called Unstuck.
I like that.
Yeah, and the subtitle is Revival of an American Icon.
So share whatever you can share. I believe it's coming out in April.
April 2nd. Yeah. So the genesis of the book was the one physical asset I got when I bought the company was my grandfather's papers, which had been in storage for 50 years and literally was like opening a time vault. Those papers had not been unearthed in that long. And I started reading through them at night while I was during the day, figuring out how I was going to revive this company my grandfather built. I started to rediscover him not as my grandfather, but as this amazing entrepreneur who, during the Great Depression, started selling pecans with a $35 loan. He started Stuckeys with a $35 loan and a Model A Ford that he jerry-rigged to be like a truck to haul the pecans. And I learned his whole story. I learned how he built the company. And there were some amazing stories about him that I thought, these need to be shared. And I started sharing them in talks. After I would give a talk, someone would say, oh, you ought to write a book, right? And enough people tell you ought to write a book. I started thinking, well, yeah, I should write this down because I don't want it to be lost. And I wrote down his story, and then I started interspersing it with my story because I'd see parallels with how he started it and how I restarted it. So the chapters are, I go from a chapter about him to a chapter about me, and a chapter about him, and it becomes a chapter about the Stuckeys team because it's no longer about me. When I first bought the company, it was a very lonely venture. But we have a whole team now. And so I just tell the journey of how you revive a classic brand. It's a story of hope. It's a story of a redemption. And hopefully it's a really optimistic tale that will inspire others.
So this comes out April the 2nd.
Yeah.
I believe I saw you can go ahead and pre-order it.
Yes, on pretty much anywhere
Barnes
you
and
can
Noble
buy a
or
book.
Amazon,
Barnes & Noble online, bookshop.org, which donates to independent bookstores.
Oh, I haven't heard about that
Yes.
one. Bookshop online.
So shout out to Eagle Eye Bookstore in Decatur, Georgia, that sells Stuckey's candy, and we'll also be selling our book. I've talked to them about doing a book
Is
event
that the
there.
one downtown?
It's at the intersection of North Decatur
Okay,
and
that one.
Claremont.
Okay,
It's at
I
that
know.
shopping center.
Yes.
They've been there for a long time.
Yes. I know exactly what you're
There's
talking about.
FedEx on the corner.
Yeah.
But the team at Eagle Eye, they are wonderful. It's truly a local bookstore. They have a lot of great authors. So I'm really honored that they asked me to do an event. I need to get a date on the calendar. When I do, I'll share that with y'all.
Yeah, that would be awesome.
Yeah.
So I was sitting there thinking with your book and with your candy, and you're going into travel centers. I mean, have you thought or have you tried to get into or are you in Cracker Barrel?
Yes, we have talked to Cracker Barrel and we are talking to them. There are things I can't say publicly,
That's
but I
fine.
will say that Stuckeys, we are open to, yes.
'Cause,
We're
the
talking to
Cracker
them.
Barrel
I'll
seemed
leave it
like
at that. We're
concept.
talking to them. Yeah.
And then the new with now the gigantic Bucky's
Yeah.
is like,
And people ask me all the time, well, what about Cracker Barrel? What about Buc-ee's? What about the competition? I answer, they are not the competition. They're kicking it on Roadside America. Good for them. They are really well aligned with the Stuckeys brand, and we would absolutely love to partner with them. I would be so happy to see the Stuckeys product on the
because you
shelves.
mentioned
Yeah.
moon pies, I started thinking, well, Cracker
Yeah.
Barrel sells moon pies.
Everywhere moon pie is sold, Stuckey should be sold. And again, we're not competing with moon
Right.
pie. I love moon pie. I eat moon pies. And I think their branding is amazing. If you don't follow Moon Pie on Twitter, you absolutely should, because they have the most irreverent, sarcastic, funny, interesting Twitter feed. They are rocking it. They're rocking the other social media channels as well, but I especially am fond of their Twitter game. But any of those nostalgic brands, they really are partners for us.
Yeah. Yeah, totally.
We can grow together. We can sit on the nostalgic snack aisles of America together. I'd say the only group out there that might be competing with us is if you make a pecan log roll, I might have to fight you on that.
Yeah, that would make sense.
We're home of the original pecan log roll. That
Yeah.
is my grandmother's recipe. If you Google pecan log roll, the Wikipedia link comes up, and it says, as made famous by Stuckeys.
Oh, that's even cool.
Yeah, so there you go. Wikipedia is my authority here. I don't know if it's always 100% accurate, but I think that's a pretty good source.
Hey, you get to run with it.
We're going with it.
So do you have any fun stories you can tell about either revitalizing the company or people you've met on the way, your Great American Roadshow? Or
I hear all sorts of stories. I think one of the best things about this role is people come up to me and they tell me their Stuckey story. What I love about that is when you carry our product, people will start telling you their Stuckey story. And we sell, by the way, not just to the chains, and we love the chains. I mean, the chains keep us profitable, so I'm very grateful for those accounts. But I also get just as excited about all the small specialty stores that sell our product, like Kudzu Antique,
Yeah.
right by the Dekalb Farmers Market, which the Dekalb Farmers Market is one of the best things about DeKalb County. There's a lot of great things, but that is an institution. So right down the road, like a block away, is Kudzu Market. So they sell our product, or the Ace Hardware on Scott Boulevard, in town Ace Hardware. So all those small stores, when I go to check on the accounts, the owners and the managers and the people who work the store will say, oh my gosh, people have been coming up to us and telling me their Stuckey story. So a few of them I'll share. I know one woman came up to me after I gave a talk, and she said, I want to thank you for helping me learn to read.
interesting.
Right? And she was the youngest of 5 children. And so when I'm number 4 or 5, so I can totally relate to this. When your parents get to the number 4 or 5 or later, you're kind of on your own. You fend for yourself, or your older siblings
number
teach
3.
you. Yeah, right? And so she said when she had to sort of self-teach herself a lot of things, or self-educate, and on the road trips, she would read the billboards. And she said her first word was exit. And I'm like, dang, that's a hard word, exit. She said, yeah, my first word was exit, and it was reading billboards. So that's kind of a fun story. Another one is I was checking into a hotel in Oklahoma City one night. It was really late and rainy, and I was exhausted. And I remember I'm in the lobby of this really wonderful, beautiful, elegant hotel, historic hotel. And this man comes from the bar and walks up to me and gives me a big hug. And I'm thinking, who is this? Is this someone I know? And he said, you don't know me, but I know who you are. I follow you on social media. And I want to thank you for saving a piece of my childhood.
Oh, wow.
Isn't that sweet?
That is.
Yeah. And another story, this one really brought tears to my eyes. Our stores were never segregated. Even during the era of the Jim Crow laws, when many places along America's highways were whites only, Stuckey's has always been a welcoming oasis. And this man came up to me, and he was African American, and he said, when I was a child and we took road trips, we would say we had to pull over, we need to use the restroom, we were hungry, whatever. And my dad would say, we have to wait for a Stuckey's. We have to wait for a Stuckey's. And he said, I always thought it was because he loved your pecan log rolls. And then he paused and he said, now I know, because in my talk, I talked about how we were never segregated. And he said, it wasn't until you gave your talk today that I realized why he waited for Stuckey's. It's because it was the only place we could stop.
That's a great story.
Yeah. And then, but he did add an air of levity to it. He said, oh, but your log rolls were really good too.
Yeah, you like have two positives.
Yeah. So and again, I could talk all day about those. I put quite a few of them in the book.
I should know this.
Yeah.
Do you have your own coffee?
We are working on it. We actually have quite a few potential partners who have approached us about it, and to be continued.
I'm a coffee
We're looking at a
fanatic,
pecan coffee. We have had a brand that we've worked with in the past. I'm a big fan of theirs, Cafe Campesino. They're based outside of Americus, Georgia, outside near Plains, and they make a great coffee. And we did a private label deal with them where they put our label on just their basic brew. But we're looking to really up it a notch and do a pecan flavored. So stay tuned on that, because that's what we really would need is a pecan flavored coffee.
One of my favorite coffees I actually get outside of Cherokee at a gas station, Southern Pecan.
Real Cherokee, if you are into road tripping, I don't want to talk about places other than Dekalb though, but Cherokee is a fun place.
I like to go there just to relax and get away for a couple of days.
Yeah.
But yeah, at the gas station, I'd go in and I'd have them put on a pot for me. And they actually sold me some of it when I left. So I'm waiting for this pecan to come out.
Yeah. Well, all right, so coffee, by the way, Dekalb has a great coffee shop right down from the farmer's market, Waller Coffee.
Oh.
Have you ever been there?
No, I haven't even heard of it.
They have live entertainment. They have it's coffee shop and music venue.
Did you write that down?
Yeah.
I did.
We're actually going
Delicious.
to look at a coffee segment of this show.
Okay, I can give you a list. There's a lot. And there's another one that's a roastery, and they have a tiny little bar area coffee bar where you can get some hot drinks made on site. But it's mostly a roastery, and I hope I'm getting their name right. They're directly across the street from the farmer's market, and it's like Radio something, I think, is the name. Radio Coffee, Radio Brew.
I have heard of that, but I didn't know where it was. That's two of them we got to go to. I know we just had a Costa Coffee open in Dekalb.
Okay.
In Brookhaven. Just went there. It was in town, Brookhaven. It was nice.
Dancing Goats in Decatur.
Dancing Goats in
That's
Decatur.
a go-to spot.
And then, of course, Refuge in
Love
Clarksdale.
Refuge. That's such a great story, too.
Yeah. Yeah, it's cool because you can sit inside, outside. It benefits the community.
And the place in Clarkston is an old gas station that's been totally renovated. Radio Roaster, thank you so much. I'm glad. I don't want to get their name wrong, but that is a wonderful coffee shop. And the man who owns it, I met him when I last went in there, and he is also a producer at NPR.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. What a way to start your day.
Then you have a new one that just opened up in Tucker called Perk. And then, of course, you had the winning.
Perk is good. I've been to Perk. It's the Perk I've been to is in Kirkwood, so that's Fulton County. But I'm glad that Perk is coming over to
They
DeKalb.
just opened maybe, a week or so ago, I guess, in downtown Tucker. Of course,
Please do a coffee segment. Oh, my gosh, and feature all of these local shops. I absolutely, whenever I go anywhere, my test for a small town that's got it going on, that's got some game, coffee shop or brewery, right?
Well, now we have a brewery tour here.
That's awesome.
It's called Eastside Hops Trail.
I love it.
So you can
Love
actually
it.
get on it from the website. You register. It'll register you at each of the places you go, and you can get points. And we have like T-shirts and mug or cups, beer.
That's
beer
awesome.
glasses.
The Brick Store Pub in Decatur is they served as the inspiration for what I think is my lasting legacy in the General Assembly, which is I was the author of the bill that allowed higher alcohol beer to be made and sold in our state.
Oh, we love this.
Yes, and it was
Thank
all
you.
because of the Brick Store team. Those three guys who own and founded the Brick Store came to me, Tom, Dave, and Mike, and they came to me and they said, we really need to change this law, and we built a whole coalition. I mean, I say I was the author. It was a team effort to get
Well, we
this thing
still
passed.
thank you very much
It
for
took
that.
6 years.
Wow.
And when it finally passed, there was a huge party at the Brick Store Pub, and we called it, because Georgia law, the legislature's in session right now, so it's on my mind. The laws usually go into effect on July 1st, right? So we had a Beer Dependence Day on July 1st to celebrate the change in Georgia's beer law. So I love visiting breweries, coffee shops. Bookstores is a bonus. If there's a bookstore,
Especially if you have a bookstore with a coffee shop in it. Not just like
ding, ding, ding.
Barnes
Yeah.
and Noble, but
Yeah, I mean, no disrespect to chains. Chains have a place in America. They're definitely convenient. They can bring us price. They can bring large selection. But you don't get a sense of community and belonging as much. And so I absolutely love discovering little shops. One of my favorites is, it's not in DeKalb County, but Cartersville, Georgia. Horton's is the oldest bookstore. Oh, no, wait. It is Cartersville. It's the oldest bookstore in Georgia.
oh, we're going to be there next week. I have to go see it.
Gotta check it out.
The Georgia Convention Visitors Bureau Convention is there. The one you spoke at last year is
Yes.
in Cartersville.
Yes. Awesome. Yeah, their town square is amazing.
Okay, I got to check that out next week.
But you know what? I'm thinking it's not in Cartersville. If you can Google it, Monica, that would be awesome. Fact check me here.
Because I go to a lot of bookstores.
It's
with my
called
wife.
Hortons, Hortons, and the town name begins with a C. I do know for a fact one thing about Cartersville. They have the oldest Coca-Cola mural anywhere in the world. It's in downtown Cartersville.
Didn't know that.
It's next to Young's Pharmacy. It's along the wall of Young's Pharmacy. It's been beautifully restored.
What if Young's Pharmacy has a restaurant in it?
I don't know if it did at one point. Today it's just a very old school pharmacy with a wonderful selection of Coke memorabilia that you can buy, and then they've got some that are more like souvenir-y. It's in Carrollton, Georgia.
Ah, Carrollton.
Yeah. But that's like a fun little day trip. So speaking of DeKalb, we were talking before we went live. I managed to stump you slightly
You
on
did.
one of my favorite attractions in DeKalb County.
Yeah, tell us about that. We've added it to our list as of today from you.
Ferns of the World.
Yes.
It's in South DeKalb. It's on Panthersville Road. It's what used to be the Georgia Perimeter Campus. Now it's owned by Georgia State. And it is the largest collection of fern plants anywhere. the genesis of it was a botany professor at then Georgia Perimeter who traveled all over the world and collected ferns, and he asked the university if they, or the college, if they would let him plant on a little plot behind the college, and he kept adding and adding and adding, and it is mind-blowing, all the different types and species of fern that you can find, and there's signage that identifies them and helps educate you, and it's just really cool. And
I'm glad you
wouldn't
brought
expect
that up.
it.
We need to add that to our attractions or things to do.
And I didn't realize the Doll's Head Trail is actually DeKalb County.
Yep.
That's a wonderful attraction.
That's interesting, isn't it?
I love, and that one's really fun around Halloween because it's creepy. Doll's Heads are definitely got a creepy vibe to them.
Yeah, totally.
Oh, and we like the world, so the world's largest fern collection, and then the world's largest collection of tiny chairs is in Stone Mountain. There's a woman who has a museum dedicated to small chairs.
Is it downtown Stone Mountain?
It's downtown Stone Mountain. It's in a beautiful old building, and it's restored. It looks great, and the woman who runs it is a retired home nurse. Museum of Miniature Chairs. Barbara Hartsfield, that's her name. She's the most engaging tour guide, and she owns it and runs it, and it's a labor of love. And you want to talk about someone who's passionate about something? That woman is just gaga about tiny chairs, and she can tell you all about them, and it's fascinating.
You can have an entire museum about tiny chairs.
And it doesn't take up a lot of space.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
Oh, she's got different themes. I mean, it is crazy.
We got to add that, too.
Yeah.
Well, while we're in break, you talked about
there we go.
Theater, outdoor theater. Starlight.
The drive-in.
Drive-in.
Yeah, the Starlight Drive-in. That is one of my favorites.
Drive-in and Stuckeys and road trips and all kind of.
Right, they should sell us at the concession stand. I need to talk to them.
Yeah, and there's not many drive-ins anymore.
There's not many
of them. I
of
heard they're coming back.
Very few in Georgia. There's one in Blue Ridge. There's one in Jessup. I'm trying to think if there are any others in Georgia.
Well, Starlight was a huge hit during COVID.
Yeah.
So we actually promoted a lot of that location.
And I have been to the world's largest drive-in, which is in Fort Lauderdale, Florida.
Oh.
Yeah, it's huge. It's got like a mall connected. A lot of the drive-ins, have you noticed, have thrift stores on weekends or during the day just to bring in added income.
It's just big parking lot.
So they've got the flea market scene heavily at the Fort Lauderdale, which is why it's so big.
That's interesting. Yeah, it does make sense. It's all land.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we need to do some kind of like not really off the beaten path.
That one's right down the street. The giant road sign on the right there, the hazard. Yeah, huge safety sawhorse. That's just a few miles from here. I drove by it on my way over here. Yeah. So that's what's fun about Roadside America. They literally are things that you drive by every day. And when people tell me, oh, how do you, they'll ask me, how do you find time to take road trips? Well, you can take a road trip anywhere. If you live in DeKalb County and you just have a Sunday afternoon to do something fun, you could take a road trip to the world's largest fern. Mm-hmm. You could take a road trip to Stone Mountain. And we were talking about some of the old school attractions of Stone Mountain, like the motel there at the Evergreen Conference Center. They've got an old inn that's just beautiful. So there's a lot of fun places to discover that are literally in our backyard. So a road trip doesn't have to be this across country for 5 days. It absolutely can be that, but
we're still a perfect place for a staycation.
Yes.
That kind of went away, but it's a perfect place for a staycation.
Yeah, I mean the downtown Tucker is just beautiful. And
I'm still impressed with this. I've got to go see this. Is that Commissioner Cochran Johnson?
Oh, that would be hilarious.
I can't tell. The glasses make me think that it is, but maybe not.
And, Clarkston, we talked about that earlier.
Yes.
That's a fun place to explore. You could literally see the entire world.
Right from there.
In a 2-mile walk, less than that. If you walk the downtown and you are super hungry, don't eat at all for hours, and then go there for like 5 meals, you can taste the entire globe just going to all the restaurants in Clarkston.
Yeah, you got Clarkston and you have Buford Highway.
Buford
So
Highway.
you have two huge international corridors right here in DeKalb.
County.
Yeah.
Yeah, Buford Highway is like mind-blowing.
That was Anthony Bourdain's favorite place to go when he was alive.
Of course. Plaza Fiesta.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
So
you want to talk about different cultures. I mean, that place
so you have
has
Plaza
it going on.
Fiesta. Near Buford Highway, you have Chinatown.
Mm-hmm.
So it's the only Chinatown in the South. And then you have all.
Wait, it's the only Chinatown in the South?
There's an historic location
not know
in
that?
New Orleans, I believe, but it's not there.
Interesting.
I mean, depending on if you count Houston as the South.
I don't.
I don't either.
I
It's
count Texas as its own.
So you got
country,
D.C. with Chinatown. Then you have our Chinatown. And you have a historic location of a Chinatown that's not there. I believe it's in New Orleans. And you have Houston, but we have basically the Chinatown in the South.
Wow.
I mean, we have a major Indian section.
Oh, yeah.
Right on, what was that, Church Street? Going downtown to Decatur?
Yeah. And that's where, I just want to get back to Chinatown. That's where you get real, authentic Chinese food. Yeah. We had a Chinese exchange student who lived with us for almost 3 years. And he would take us, really. Like, we would go to eat in Chinatown on Buford Highway, and he would show us where to go and what dishes to order. And he's like, this is how we really eat. You know?
Yeah, it's different.
So again, you can see the world just by going to DeKalb County.
Yeah, it's very...
And the farmers market.
Yeah.
Well, not just the DeKalb County, like the permanent farmers market, but the Buford Highway Farmers Market. Which, by the way, is accessible by MARTA. Like, you just take MARTA and see this stuff.
Have you seen the new exhibit at Exhibition Hub?
No.
Exhibition Hub's a 50,000 square foot immersive experience. Right now they have Van Gogh and King Tut or Tutankhamun going on. So later on, before that, they had Monet and Art of the Brick, like Legos.
Mm-hmm.
And they're going to have dinosaurs coming up in the future.
Wow.
It's a phenomenal place. You just totally get immersed into the two exhibits going on each
And that's
time.
Buford Highway, right?
That's Buford Highway, right down from the farmers market, called Exhibition Hub.
Love it.
So that's very cool too.
DeKalb's a great place.
It is.
Yeah.
So we appreciate you being here. Is there any type of news updates that you want to close with Stuckeys, or where you're going, or your book, or?
Sure. I would just encourage folks to follow me on social media. It's at Stuckey Stop, or just Stephanie Stuckey on LinkedIn and Facebook, to learn about the brand and what we're doing. And really, the most important thing is I want to hear from listeners. So if you've got ideas for stores where you think we should be selling our product, or things you think I should be talking about, I'm always open to hearing from people and places that we should be visiting. What I really like is sharing experiences of exploring America by car or by foot or by bike. Those are all, in my opinion, a road trip.
True.
It doesn't have to be in a car. And that's part of the Stuckeys experience. We're just saying, when you take those road trips, you want some snacks, think of Stuckeys as your road trip snack brand.
Definitely.
Right?
And I have to just give kudos. You've got to follow her social media posts. I just always enjoy waiting for the next one.
Thank you. And I follow back. So, like I said, it's a two-way conversation. I absolutely want to hear from folks about what their thoughts are. How do you revive a nostalgic brand? How do you make a comeback? That's what we're trying to do every single day.
And you're doing good.
Yeah.
You're doing really
Thank
good.
you.
Well, thank you for being on our show.
Thank
we really
you.
appreciate you taking the time.
Let's take a road trip soon.
I think it's a great idea.
All right. To be continued.
Thank you all for tuning in.